Let me ask you something. How often do you say yes when you really mean no? How many times have you put others first and left yourself last, drained and frustrated? Today we're talking about breaking free from the habit of being too nice. Kindness is powerful, but there's a fine line between being kind and being a doormat. If you're always prioritizing others at your own expense, you're not living your best life, you're living someone else's. It's time to set boundaries, reclaim your energy, and take back your power. Are you ready to stop pleasing everyone else and start showing up for yourself? Let's get to it. Being too nice often leads to losing control of your life. It's something many people fall into without even realizing it. They want to please others, avoid conflict, and be seen as good, compassionate, and easygoing. These are all admirable traits, but they can easily slip into extremes. The problem comes when people become so focused on meeting others' needs, desires, and expectations that they begin to neglect their own. It starts small with simple acts of kindness or agreeing to do favors, but over time it grows into a pattern of people-pleasing behavior that leaves them feeling drained, unfulfilled, and disconnected from their own goals. Being overly accommodating can feel good in the short term. You get praise, you avoid difficult conversations, and you're seen as someone others can count on. But at what cost? The truth is, when you're constantly bending to the will of others, you lose sight of your own needs. You might miss out on opportunities to pursue your passions, or worse, you might allow yourself to be manipulated or taken advantage of. People who rely on you for their own gain aren't concerned with your well-being. They're focused on what they can extract from you, and when you give into their demands without question, you essentially hand over control of your life. When you say yes all the time, you sacrifice your time and energy. You might find yourself overcommitted, feeling overwhelmed by all the things you agreed to do but didn't really want to do. You get caught in the trap of doing things because you're afraid of disappointing others or because you're worried about being judged. But what happens when you disappoint yourself? What happens when you sacrifice your own dreams and needs for the sake of others? You start to feel resentful, frustrated, and disconnected from who you are. You lose touch with your own desires, and eventually, you wake up one day realizing that your life is being dictated by everyone else except you. The struggle to maintain control of your life is one of the reasons why it's so essential to stop being too nice. Saying no isn't just about rejecting people. It's about taking back control of your time, your energy, and your decisions. When you say yes to everyone else, you're saying no to yourself. You're telling yourself that your needs don't matter as much as the needs of others, and that's not a healthy or sustainable mindset. You can't be everything to everyone without sacrificing your own well-being. The fear of saying no often comes from a place of insecurity. People fear they'll be seen as rude, unkind, or unhelpful. They worry that others will think less of them if they set boundaries, but this fear is rooted in a lack of self-consciousness and a misunderstanding of what self-respect really means. Saying no isn't about being mean or hurtful. It's about being clear about your own priorities and respecting yourself enough to honor them. It's about understanding that you don't have to sacrifice your well-being to make others happy. When you're able to say no without guilt, you shift the dynamic of your relationships. People will respect you more because you are clear about your boundaries, and they will understand that your time and energy are valuable. You won't be taken for granted or manipulated into doing things you don't want to do. Instead, you'll create more meaningful and authentic connections with others, ones that are based on mutual respect and understanding. So it's time to stop being afraid of saying no. It's time to stop being too nice. When you prioritize yourself and your own needs, you show the world that you value yourself. You stop being a passive participant in your own life and take the reins. You reclaim your power and control over your future. And in doing so, you create the space for the life you truly want to live. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships and personal growth. They are the invisible lines that define where you end and others begin. They protect your time, energy, values, and emotions. Without boundaries, you risk losing yourself in the demands and expectations of others. It's easy to think that setting boundaries might be seen as unkind, cold, or selfish, but the truth is, boundaries are an act of self-respect and are without boundaries, you allow others to dictate the terms of your life. You become a passive participant, agreeing to things that don't align with your values or your long-term goals. You might feel like you're constantly reacting to the demands of others, never feeling in control of your own time, energy, or decisions. You find yourself caught in a cycle of saying yes when you should say no, feeling drained from trying to meet the needs of everyone around you and losing sight of your own priorities. That's not the way to live a fulfilling life. Boundaries are not a rejection of others. They are a way of honoring yourself and your own needs. One of the biggest challenges people face when setting boundaries is the fear of disappointing others or facing rejection. We live in a society that often values conformity, and it can feel uncomfortable to step outside the norm and assert our needs. But the truth is, by avoiding conflict or trying to please everyone, you only end up harming yourself. Setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person who respects themselves enough to protect their time, energy, and well-being. You don't have to be a doormat to be kind, and you don't have to sacrifice yourself to gain approval from others. People who value you will respect your boundaries. This is a powerful truth that can transform your relationships and your life. When you begin to set boundaries and communicate your needs clearly, you'll start to notice who truly respects you and who doesn't. The people who care about you will understand that your boundaries are not about rejecting them, but about taking care of yourself. They'll see the strength in your self-respect, and they'll support your decisions. These are the people who will stand by you, encourage your growth, and appreciate you for who you truly are. On the other hand, those who don't respect your boundaries will try to push against them. They might guilt trip you, try to manipulate you, or make you feel bad for standing up for yourself. But this is where your strength comes in. When you hold firm in your boundaries, you teach others how to treat you. You show them that you're not willing to compromise your well-being for the sake of others, and you refuse to allow anyone to take advantage of your kindness. In doing so, you create a space where you can form deeper, more meaningful connections with people who truly value and respect you. Stop fearing rejection. Embrace your authentic self. Fear of rejection is one of the most powerful emotions that can hold us back in life. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval and validation from others. Whether it's from our parents, peers, or colleagues, the desire to fit in and be accepted is ingrained in us. This fear of being rejected can create a barrier between us and our true selves, making us put on a mask to fit into a mold that isn't ours. Over time, this fear can manifest in different ways: anxiety, indecision, self-doubt, and even self-sabotage. We become so focused on what others think of us that we lose sight of who we really are. But here's the truth: rejection isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth or your value as a person. It's simply part of the process of living authentically and unapologetically. When you face rejection and move through it, you learn valuable lessons about yourself. You learn resilience, courage, and the ability to handle disappointment. You learn that your worth is not tied to other people's opinions or approval. You learn that you are enough just as you are, even when others don't see it. Rejection becomes less about personal failure and more about redirection. When one door closes, another opens. When one opportunity doesn't work out, it's because something better is waiting for you. Embracing rejection as part of your growth process allows you to take risks, make bold decisions, and live more freely. So embrace rejection. Embrace your authentic self. You are worthy of living a life that is true to who you are, not who others think you should be. Stop holding yourself back out of fear and start living with courage, confidence, and conviction. The world needs you to be the real you, not a version of yourself that has been shaped by fear or the expectations of others. The more you embrace your true self, the more you will find peace, purpose, and fulfillment. Prioritize your time and energy for what truly matters. Life is a series of choices, and how you spend your time and energy defines your path. If you're constantly reacting to others' demands, you may lose sight of your own priorities. Time is limited, and energy is finite. Once it's spent, it's gone. Learn to say no to distractions, unimportant tasks, and people who drain your energy. Focus on what aligns with your values, passions, and goals. By consciously choosing where to direct your attention, you empower yourself to create the life you truly desire. Success isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what matters most with intention and purpose. Kindness should never come at the cost of your self-worth. Being kind to others is important, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your own well-being. Too often, we prioritize others' needs over our own, thinking that being self-sacrificial is virtuous. However, true kindness starts with self-respect and understanding that you deserve to prioritize your own needs, and when you compromise your values, health, or happiness to please others, you're not being kind. You're enabling a cycle that erodes your self-worth. Recognize that being kind to yourself isn't selfish. It's essential for maintaining balance and fulfilling relationships with others. Your value isn't determined by external validation. We often seek approval and praise from others to feel valued, whether through social media, work, personal relationships. However, this external validation is fleeting and unreliable. The truth is, your worth is inherent. It doesn't depend on someone else's opinion of you. When you rely on external sources for validation, you give up control over your own sense of self. You start to define yourself by what others think instead of by your own values and beliefs. True empowerment comes from within, from the recognition that you are valuable simply because you exist, not because someone else acknowledges or approves of you. When you stop seeking validation from the outside world, you can build confidence and self-esteem that is rooted in who you truly are. Stop letting fear control your decisions. Fear is a natural emotion, but when it becomes the driving force behind your choices, it limits your potential and keeps you in a state of inaction. Fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown can prevent you from taking risks, pursuing dreams, and growing in ways you never thought possible. When fear takes over, it creates an illusion of safety, convincing you to stay in your comfort zone where growth doesn't happen. However, growth and transformation occur when you push through fear and take bold steps toward your goals. Fear should not paralyze you. It should be a signal to take action despite the uncertainty. When you stop allowing fear to control you, you begin to take ownership of your life and your decision. You must learn to embrace discomfort if you want to grow. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone, and yet most people spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort. We seek safety, security, and predictability, often opting for what feels comfortable rather than what challenges us. But this desire for comfort can become a major barrier to progress. The truth is, discomfort is an essential part of growth. It is through discomfort that we expand our limits, discover our strengths, and build resilience. Every time you push yourself beyond what feels easy, you are learning something new about yourself and the world around you. Whether it's in your personal life, career, or health, growth requires you to step into the unknown and face challenges head on. Discomfort comes in many forms. It could be the discomfort of trying something new, the uncertainty of taking a risk, or the vulnerability of being honest with yourself and others. It might feel like fear or anxiety or even physical exhaustion. But regardless of the form it takes, discomfort is the catalyst for transformation. Without it, we remain in familiar patterns, stuck in routines that no longer serve us, and avoid the very experiences that will help us become better versions of ourselves. If you want to achieve something greater, whether it's a personal goal, a career milestone, or a dream you've longed to pursue, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Discomfort also helps you learn important life skills such as problem solving, decision making, and adaptability. When you are faced with a challenge that takes you out of your comfort zone, you are forced to think critically and creatively. You may have to adapt to new circumstances, find alternative solutions, or take calculated risks. These experiences develop your ability to make decisions in high-pressure situations and think on your feet. Without discomfort, these skills remain dormant. You are not tested, and therefore you don't develop the ability to navigate life's uncertainties with grace and confidence. Embracing discomfort is not always easy, but it is essential for growth. When you stop avoiding the things that make you uncomfortable and instead face them with courage and determination, you unlock the door to your fullest potential. The discomfort of growth also involves letting go of old habits, beliefs, and mindsets that no longer serve you. It's about releasing the comfort of staying in the familiar and challenging yourself to embrace new ways of thinking and being. This can feel uncomfortable because it requires you to let go of what is safe and familiar in favor of something unknown. But it's in this process of shedding the old and embracing the new that true transformation occurs. By constantly challenging yourself to grow, you open yourself up to new opportunities, new experiences, and new levels of achievement that you never thought possible. Embracing discomfort is not always easy, but it is essential for growth. When you stop avoiding the things that make you uncomfortable and instead face them with courage and determination, you unlock the door to your fullest potential. Growth happens when you lean into discomfort, push through the resistance, and keep moving forward. It is through this process that you become the person you are capable of becoming, the person who is resilient, strong, adaptable, and ready to take on whatever challenges life throws your way. When you embrace discomfort, you take control of your growth, your future, and your life. You're here today because you've decided to stop playing small and step into your true potential. Discomfort isn't your enemy, it's the force that builds you into who you're meant to be. Every challenge, every struggle is shaping you into someone stronger, more resilient, and unstoppable. From this moment forward, remember, you are capable of more than you've ever imagined. This is your time. Go out there and own it. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to be who you truly are and to step into the life you've always dreamed of. But that starts with one decision. The decision to stop playing small and embrace the discomfort that leads to growth. So let me ask you once more, are you ready to live a life of power, passion, and purpose? Because this is your moment. Own it.